Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are talking about 5 theories I have for Dark Season 3. On the 27th of June of this year, 2020, we will be getting the final and concluding season of the German original Netflix series, Dark. Please be advised that there are spoilers for both Season 1 and Season 2 of Dark in this video, and trust me, if you have not yet seen the show, you do not want it to get spoiled. Seriously, you don't. Just rather go back and watch the show if you're interested in watching this video and then come and revisit this video at a later stage. You will definitely want to watch the show before you know about these spoilers. Another thing we'll be discussing is some of the behind the scenes photos of Season 3 that have been posted on Baron Bodar's Instagram page. I hope that's how you say his name, but he's one of the creators and directors of the show Dark, and he's been posting some really beautiful film photos and other photos of production and behind the scenes of Season 3 of Dark. And then finally, I'm also going to be referencing some of the trailers that have released for Season 3 of Dark to sort of support some of the theories I have going into Season 3 of Dark. So again, once again, if you don't watch trailers and stuff like that, then this might not be the video for you today. But if you don't really mind behind the scenes photos of Season 3, or if you don't mind me referencing Season 3 trailers and clips, then this is your video. Stay here and enjoy the ride. Okay, so although I do have more than 5 theories for what's going to happen in this next season, I thought I'd just talk about these 5 for now. Maybe I'll make another one before Friday or Saturday. I think Saturday is when it actually releases, but I probably won't have time because I've got other videos in the pipeline for this week. But I thought, let me just share at least 5 theories I have so far for Season 3 of Dark. Okay, so theory number 1. Old world Martha is Eve. Now with this theory, we already have an established Adam character in Dark. Jonas becomes Adam, at least that's what we are made to believe throughout Season 2. I'm still kind of curious to see how that goes down, because it's sometimes hard to think that Jonas becomes the character Adam, but I think there's a lot of evidence to support that he does. So if that is the case, then I think it makes sense to have an Eve character in Dark as well. And I think because Martha Prime, the original Martha, dies at the end of Season 2, it makes sense that the old world Martha would become the Eve character. And then also in one of the trailers for Dark Season 3, there is an artwork of Adam and Eve, the figures from the biblical story in Genesis, and I think that is definitely there for a reason. I don't think it's there as just a background image or just something to be ignored. I think it's definitely there on purpose, and it definitely has a reason being there. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how that sort of ties into the storyline. I know also for some of the crew tags on the production of Dark, they did also have their tags with that same artwork of Adam and Eve on their Dark tags, which I definitely think is there for a reason, and I think it definitely will play a part in the story going forward. So I'm very curious to see how they do that, but my theory is that Old World Martha will become the Eve figure in Dark. Theory number 2. Hannah is drowned at the lake. So obviously we know with Hannah now, she has gone back to 1953, and she is sort of out to cause havoc. She's just trying to absolutely destroy Ulrich's reputation, his life, and everything like that. And we sort of get a hint that she also is connected with EGON, and that they in essence have a romantic relationship going forward, which will be very interesting to see how that develops in Season 3. And now what's interesting about all of this is that in some of the behind the scenes photos and some of the trailers for Dark Season 3, we see that Hannah gets a St. Christopher's pendant, which is very similar, if not the same, exact same pendant that Jonas gives Martha in Season 2 by the lake. And now what makes me think that Hannah drowns in the lake, and that Jonas finds this pendant there, and it actually is originally Hannah's from the 80s, is because that's firstly in the Dark Season 3 trailer we see this figure in a pink raincoat or jacket, hitting someone over the head with what looks like a rock near a lake. So that's evidence to this theory. And then also in Dark Season 2, while they're in the water in the lake, he references a story of how a woman seemingly has died in that lake. And it's sort of like this legend in the community that there's a woman who got drowned in that lake. And I think it definitely would make sense that this is Hannah, because she has the St. Christopher's pendant in the 1950s, and I guess it kind of would make sense that she dies in the 80s by the hands of someone else. She's essentially murdered. And that's how Jonas gets the St. Christopher's pendant and gives it to Martha in season 2. So I think it would be a sort of full circle with regards to that, and I think it would definitely make sense within the Dark storyline for them to go that direction. Theory number 3, Hannah and Egon end up having a child together. So I will be honest, I don't have that much evidence to support this theory. This is kind of just more speculation on my behalf, but I think it would make sense going forward with regards to the storyline. As I said earlier, I think it's heavily implied that Hannah and Egon end up pursuing a romantic relationship of sorts, or at least an affair, going forward in the storyline. And there are also a few characters who we're not quite sure how they ended up in Weirden, where Dark takes place. One of these characters, for example, being Alexandra Tiedemann, who ends up marrying Gina, and I don't know, I've always been very curious about his origin with regards to the story and the show. He kind of just ends up in Weirden. It's implied that he's come from somewhere else. He has a different passport. He's changed his name and stuff like that. But I think it would also make sense that potentially Egon and Hannah tried to hide their son because they didn't want people to know about their affair or something like that. As I said at the beginning of this theory, this is just speculation on my behalf, but I think it could definitely make sense that some of these lesser known characters at this stage of the storyline could be sort of tied to Hannah and Egon with regards to their heritage and stuff like that. So I'd be very curious to see how the storyline develops in that regard, but I think just from knowing Hannah as a character, I think she would be more prone to have something more than just an affair with Egon. I think she would definitely pursue more of a romantic relationship and possibly bear children with Egon as well. Just from knowing her character throughout Dark so far. I would be very curious to see how that goes down, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Theory number 4, Katharina is united with Ulrich. So as I said in theory number 2, I think it was, that I think it makes sense that Katharina will be reunited with Ulrich in the 80s. And now the reason I believe this is because in one of the season 3 trailers we see 2 people holding hands over a chessboard. And now we know that Ulrich was playing a lot of chess in this facility he's been kept at from season 2 when Egon visits him. And then also I think it makes sense that this could be Katharina holding Ulrich's hand. And the reason why I believe this could be Ulrich and Katharina holding hands is because in some of the behind the scenes photos we've seen Katharina, the adult version, the prime world Katharina, with a very similar jacket on that looks like it's definitely from the 80s, and the sleeves of this jacket look very, very similar, if not the exact same, to the one we see in this trailer. And I think it makes sense that Ulrich and Katharina would be reunited in the story. I think Ulrich's been dealt a really difficult and tough hand here, and he's kind of having to pay the consequences of stuff he's done for the rest of his life. And it's quite hectic and deep. And although I don't know if Katharina will necessarily be able to save Ulrich from this facility, I think it would definitely be nice to see them reunited at least once more before the end of the storyline. And now this also ties in kind of to my theory number 2, and that is where Hannah is the person who drowns at the lake. And the reason why I think this is the case is because I think when Katharina and Ulrich are reunited at the facility, Ulrich could end up telling Katharina what Hannah did to him, and then Katharina could go after Hannah and essentially murder her. And now this of course is just speculation on our behalf, but I think we definitely do want to see at least Katharina and Ulrich reunited once more, and I think the show deserves that. I think we sort of have been really invested with Ulrich's character and Katharina's character throughout seasons 1 and 2, and it'd be great to see them reunited once more before this season and the show ends. Theory number 5, and this one's a bit out there, but Jonas Prime kills Old-World Jonas. Okay, let me explain this a bit. This is kind of out there and I totally get it, but just hear me out a little bit. So we know that Jonas ends up becoming Adam, at least that's what we're made to believe at this point in the storyline, and that makes sense, I guess. I think there's a lot of evidence to support that. But what's always kind of bothered me, at least from what we've seen so far, is that this alternate reality where Ultimatha comes from doesn't have Jonas in it. And that doesn't quite make sense to me. I don't know why they wouldn't include Jonas in that world, right? We also do know that Claudia, in I think it's season 2, she says that she has seen a world without Jonas, and it's not good. She says something along those lines, and I think this is evidence to support the theory that Claudia has been in the alt world, and she's seen a world without Jonas, which is the alt world. And from what we've seen so far, it looks like most of the characters return as alt world characters, as the same characters, but just in an alternate world. And it doesn't make sense for me why Jonas wouldn't be there. So my theory is this: Jonas in the Prime world knows that his father, Michael, gave his life to save him, to save Jonas in the Prime world. That makes sense. So Jonas knows that no matter what he does, he can't essentially save his father in the Prime world because it undoes a whole bunch of other stuff. And he knows the consequences of these actions. He knows that if he does save his father, he potentially might not exist himself in that world, right? So, in the alternate world where Old Martha comes from, who sort of looks like she takes on the mantle of the Jonas character in the Prime world, they have a similar jacket. There's a lot of evidence to support this. We've seen various clips that essentially allude to the fact that she's going to be the Jonas of this world. The Jonas character of this world. So my theory is this, that the Prime world Jonas, the one we've been following so far throughout the story, ends up killing the old world Jonas to save his father, to save Michael, in the alternate world. Again, there's not that much evidence to support that Michael is even in this alternate world, but I think it would make sense why Jonas is not in the alternate world. I think by him killing himself in the alternate world, his father could potentially live and live on and not have to die in the alternate world. And you may be saying, well, there's no evidence that Michael is even in the alternate world either, but hear me out a little bit here. There have been a few behind the scenes photos, again, just complete speculation. There's one photo that some people are saying is KATHARINA, which I kind of believe it is KATHARINA, but it also could look like that it might be Michael as well in the alternate world. Because of the desert and stuff like that, and the desert landscapes. So I believe that could potentially be Michael in the alternate world, and he obviously didn't die in this world because Jonas died instead. And then there's also another photo of young Michael, who is got shorter hair. Again, this could be from the 80s and he just got a haircut in the Prime world, but it also could be that this is the alt world Michael, who also traveled back in time. But he doesn't die because Jonas doesn't exist in this old world, because he kills himself. So it'd be really interesting to see if they go that direction. I think it would be quite an interesting angle that the story takes if it does do this. And I think it would be a case where Jonas from the Prime world goes to the old world and ends up killing himself in the old world. So his father at least lives in that alternate world. Again, this is complete speculation, and I think it's very complicated if they do end up going the sort of route in the story, but I think it would make sense to explain why Jonas is not in the alternate world, and it would kind of, I think, in his own mind, bring a bit of peace to himself, knowing that he saved his dad in an alternate world. I don't know. That's just a theory. Let me know what you think about it. Okay guys, so thank you so much for watching this video. I know some of these theories were a bit out there. I don't have that much evidence to support them, but it is just really fun speculating and sort of theorizing what is going to happen in this concluding season of Dark. Dark has definitely been my favorite Netflix original series up until this point, and I cannot wait to see how they conclude the storyline in season 3, which is on the 27th of June. Super excited. If you guys did enjoy this video, I will definitely be reviewing Dark season 3 this coming weekend, so if you do want to check out a review for that as well, then subscribe, press the bell icon to be notified when I post that video, and then also I'm just curious to know what your theories are for this concluding season of Dark. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know some of your theories. I'd love to just hear your thoughts on Dark and what you're excited to see in the final season. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys are doing good. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.